the answer. Never was, never will. We will never live in peace unless and until we learn to love each other, not bomb, maim, and kill. 'Cause war is not the answer, never was and never will. Think of all the weapons.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Veterans Speak Out, sponsored by New Hampshire Veterans for Peace. This is Will Thomas, a U.S. Navy veteran and a proud member of Veterans for Peace.
I'm Richard Murphy, another proud member of Veterans for Peace, an Army veteran of the Vietnam conflict. It was a police action when I was there. It wasn't a war.
Wasn't a war. Like, was in Korea also a police action? Yeah.
Not a war.
The forgotten war, as they say.
Completely forgotten.
Okay, here we are. It's April 15th. And in a few minutes, we're going to talk about Tax Day.
Taxes.
But we have something else we want to mention, and that is we're going to give a shout-out to our good friends, Bill and Noreen McCarthy.
Yeah.
So, the Vietnam War Commemoration Project. Now, who started, or why was it started, and what's the goal?
Well, the government started, I believe, Obama. I'm sure he had something to do with it, but I don't know.
But what is it?
Well, it's a 50-year commemoration of the 10-year war, supposedly from 1965 to 75. But in fact, it started at least with American soldiers and flyers, helicopter pilots, in 1962, December of '62.
Yeah.
And that's what I told you before, that's the first time that they think the word chopper was used to express a helicopter. And it was called Operation Chopper, and it was a bunch of American pilots flying these our helicopters with South Vietnamese regular soldiers in it.
But why?
And I don't know what happened.
What's the purpose of the government spending? How much was it? $65 million?
Yeah. Well, they think that by raising the flag again and saying who's going to salute, and having parades and having people thank us, that's going to make the Vietnam veteran feel better. Now, I'm speaking as an infantryman, as a Vietnam veteran. That's not going to make me feel any better at all. Nothing can make you feel better once you've been in a combat situation.
But if another vet comes up to you and says, "Welcome home," what do you say? Yeah.
Well, I'm usually flat-footed when it happens. I just say, "Well," I said, "I'd never go again."
Yeah.
That's what I say. In fact, I said at the VA, I was up there last week. The guy said,
Yeah.
and they're told to say it. "Thank you for your service." I said, "I would never do it again."
Well,
he said, "Well, I would." And then
he
said,
would?
Yeah, that's what he said. But I'm sure he wasn't an infantry guy. There's
Yeah.
plenty of guys who think that they were in the war. They had nothing to do with it. They were in their base camps. They stayed there. They say, and I think that this is a low mark, that for every infantryman in the field, there were 17 men backing him up. But I think, from my experience, as I think I've said a number of times, my outfit, each squad, there's 4 squads in a platoon. Each squad is supposed to have 11 men in it. We never had more than 7 men in my platoon. I shouldn't say never, but not for more than a week. Never did. It was always 6. Actually, after one firefight, I was the only guy in my platoon.
Wow.
The only guy.
Yeah.
The rest were wounded or dead. And that happened twice. I was the only guy in my outfit who didn't get a Purple Heart. The only one. And that's 98, 99% casualty rate.
Yeah.
And the United States government has admitted that 75% of all the casualties in Vietnam were suffered by infantrymen. 75%, which was twice the percentage of World War II infantrymen. Because there you had Air Force. If you were in the 8th Air Force, you had very high casualty rates. You didn't have high casualty rates in Vietnam. We talk about all the time about the flyers, the prisoners, but they were just a relatively few in number.
Right.
But you never hear. They're still talking about them now, about how we got to give them respect. They're missing.
Yeah.
People know. People who loved them know that they're gone. They're dead. They're not alive.
Well, but the thing is that our government is spending this money, sending out to the various states, or all the states, I believe, to hold these commemorative events.
Yeah, parades
And welcome home events, and all the
salute us
politicians,
and-
and all the politicians show up and say thank you for your service, etc. You protected our country,
Yeah.
our freedoms, our liberty,
showed valor,
heroism, and all that.
determinism to stay to face danger and all that stuff.
But
None of us wanted to be anywhere
Right,
near that
yeah.
place.
But our group has taken a position that perhaps like Nick Turse in his
Yeah.
book, remember, Kill Anything
Anything
That
That
Moves, he's suggesting that perhaps it wasn't such a noble cause, and that we're going to see a picture here in a minute, that the My Lai incident was not just a one-time event, the massacre of this pretty much the entire village there in South Vietnam.
I was in a firefight on the same day that My Lai took place. That was in the Marical Division, the 24th Infantry Division. I was in the 25th. It just happened. I didn't find this out till years later.
Yeah.
The same day we were in a firefight.
Mm.
So, I mean, but if we'd ever get an order like that to shoot people, I can't think of any guy that was with me that would have done it.
Would have fired.
No, they wouldn't.
Or why did the...
We never shot any civilians that we purposely shot. I mean,
Well,
I'm sure we must have hit some of them once in a while, but
Right.
we never shot at them. Never did.
But I
We
believe-
were even ordered not to shoot once
Okay.
when there were civilians and the gooks opened up on us.
Use
We
the
would-
term gooks?
Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah.
what they are to me.
That's what, yeah.
It's
It's
derogatory.
in your
but
brain, right?
That's what
Embedded.
it is. But we went down in a rice paddy, right out in the open, getting fire, receiving fire, and the lieutenant said, "Don't shoot." Well, I mean, he was screaming, and because there were people running away to get out of the way, and we didn't return the fire.
So you had a commanding officer that made that decision or
yeah.
determination,
Right.
unlike Lieutenant Calley or
Who
Captain
ordered.
Medina
Yeah.
and Colonel Henderson, was it? I believe
Yes,
above
I think
him.
Henderson's the right name.
And a lot of people watching this, young people, have no concept or knowledge of My Lai,
They know nothing of the Vietnam War.
except now that the vets are being welcomed back
Well, yeah, but they still don't.
because they were all spit on, weren't they, and called baby killers.
Yeah, but I never was. I never heard.
Well,
of
no,
this.
when I'm being facetious.
Yeah, I know you were.
Jerry Lemke from Vietnam combat vet, from teaches where did we say Holy Cross,
Yeah.
has done this extensive. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
Extensive research,
And it's
and
pretty
I met
much-
people who claimed they were spit on, but it couldn't have happened.
Right. They weren't.
Well, anyway, all right. We're going to show a few photos because you brought this up in terms of the Vietnam Memorial Wall, and there is one of the statues of 3 service people, men, near the wall. So why don't you comment on your viewpoint regarding the placing of this statue?
Well, when I first saw the statue the very first time, I was walking through the area where the wall is, Vietnam Wall. I wasn't looking at it, I just walked through it. My wife was trailing behind me and a couple other people. And I saw this thing and I'm saying, what the heck is this? And I said, this isn't what it was like for me. For one thing, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but whoever did this was never in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Never in the field, which makes sense to me, because for one thing, you could not be in the field and not have a helmet on.
Well, one guy's got if you go
He's-
back to one of
he's
the
got-
pictures here, he's got
He's got what they call a C hat on.
A
We
C-
call that a C hat,
sea hat.
and that's a derogatory,
Oh, yeah.
bad thing to say.
Okay.
But that's what they called it. And he's a 60 gunner. Well, a 60 gunner, he has one string of bandolier
Yep,
bullets. That's factual. But you would never get 3 guys standing together like that. That's, for one thing, you have I'm presuming the guy in front is an officer. The reason why I'm saying that is because I don't see he has any weapon. I can't see a weapon.
Yeah, yeah.
And he should have at least a 45 on, but
Mm.
he doesn't. He probably is wearing a flak jacket, and you didn't see any infantrymen wearing flak jackets while they're walking because you're carrying about 8 pounds more.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
And so anyway, and then they get this other guy. I mean, that's a bunch, and the gooks would open up automatically because you got a machine gunner, you got the captain or the lieutenant, and that's headquarters.
Mhm.
But there should be an RTO, a radio tech
Okay.
with the officer.
Yeah.
He's always with the radio man.
Sure.
Those are the 2 most dangerous jobs in the infantry: the 60 gunner,
Okay.
the radio guy, because they want to knock out the ability to
Communications.
communicate, then they
Yeah.
can't call on a plane or anything.
Exactly.
So they're out of luck.
Well, okay, so also,
But helmets is so important. Actually was with a guy who got shot in the head, and he lived because he had a helmet on. I was with him.
Yeah.
Heard him get hit, and I heard him moan and everything. And it was a big machine gun we were up against.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's alive today. Because at the time, you just don't think about those
Exactly.
things.
Exactly. Well, you've got something written there in front of you by a friend of ours who's was a combat medic in Vietnam.
Mike Hasty or Hasty?
Yeah, Hasty, I think it is, from Oregon. And we talked about Brian Wilson, another, the author of Blood on the Tracks.
He's a great veteran for peace.
Yeah, and
Courageous,
so they
actually.
interviewed a guy who was a gunner, I believe.
Yeah, Larry Colburn, who was a machine gunner on a helicopter. And do we have the picture?
Yeah, we do. There it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is
The ditch.
A ditch in which maybe 150 South Vietnamese civilians were murdered by the United States soldiers in right about March 17th of 1968. I was actually, as I told Will, in a firefight at the same time. This was happening maybe 30 miles away from me. Okay, the picture included here is the infamous ditch at My Lai where 150 people were killed, point-blank range by U.S. government troops. After Hugh Thompson, who was the pilot of the aircraft, landed, Larry Colburn, Thompson's door gunner, and his crew chief, Glenn Andriota, walked over to this ditch and noticed that there was a baby. There were about, like we said, 100 people
Right.
in there. There was a baby still alive. Andriota jumped into the ditch and pried the baby away from its dead mother. With the child in his arms and knee-deep in bodies and blood, Colburn helped pull him out by having Andriota grab the stock of his rifle. Many Vietnamese civilians were saved by the actions of these three men. I don't know if they were saved in the same fashion. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He said this picture was taken in 1994, and he says it was very emotional walking around the massacre site, feeling the intoxicating shame that numbed me for the rest of my time in Vietnam and when I get back to the States. 3 months after he got back to Portland, Oregon, he was hospitalized with panic attacks, not at all uncommon when you have PTSD. Although I didn't have it diagnosed as PTSD then. I got my suppressed rage out when I screamed in my hospital room that I hated the United States of America. I've said that myself. Like so many other people I have met, it takes what it takes to give birth to the truth. And I think that that's very true, what he says there. It's like I've never saluted the flag since. And when I was still in uniform, I was on formation, and I refused to raise and the hand wanted to come up.
Yeah.
It wanted to come
Yeah.
up. But I said, no, it's not coming up. And I didn't do it. And then I was thinking everybody saw me, but nobody did. Anyway, so he got back, he was screaming bloody murder, and like so many other, it takes 504 innocent Vietnamese civilians were murdered at My Lai on that day. March 16th was the day after I thought it was, before. Most of the Vietnamese people throughout their country were defending themselves against the American invasion. For the American people, national shame is a powerful part of denying the truth of what really happens in war. So true. The unspeakable is what is revealed when one's belief system is destroyed at point-blank range. That is why full disclosure, quote unquote, which that's what Vets for Peace are doing about this commemoration, this 50-year commemoration, can be so terrifying to hear for other people besides us. Denial can no longer stand its ground. The My Lai massacre is a metaphor for the horror of the Vietnam War.
Again, we recommend to people Nick Turse, Turse, Kill Anything That Moves.
I actually, when I first saw that title, I actually flipped back about 45 years and said, yeah, that's exactly what they
That's
said.
it.
We can shoot anything we want.
And
Free fire zone.
Right, Free Fire Zone. And have we learned anything since?
Not a thing. Haven't
Here it
learned
is,
anything.
2014.
No, Colin Powell was in Vietnam, although he wasn't an infantry soldier.
Right.
Serving with American soldiers anyway. He did serve with South Vietnamese soldiers, most of whom were Viet Cong, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And he said that he'd never allow any war like that to happen again, where no win in sight, no real military strategy to win a war. Just keep piling up bodies and killing infantrymen, our infantrymen. And what did he do when he became Secretary of State? He told the President of the United States, George Bush, who of course never went to war, he was actually a traitor, although never convicted. He told him that this information you're giving me about Iraq is BS. This is what he said before he went out in the United Nations and gave a speech
But he
saying, he still lied
did.
right through his teeth.
But don't forget, the first Gulf War, they call it, remember?
Yeah.
He was Secretary of Defense.
Defense with
And when asked the question about body count, how many dead Iraqis we had killed, he said, we don't do body counts.
We don't do body
Yet
counts.
in Vietnam, he
That's
was
all
part
they-
of the cover-up of My Lai.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
That's definite, that Colin Powell.
Right. He was a field grade officer at the time of that. He got Purple Hearts, 2 of them. One stepping on a punji stick, which I would have dove on a punji stick if I saw one. At least you're going to the hospital, but you're going home too.
Yeah.
But and he was also in a helicopter with a brigadier, a general. He was a colonel at this time. That was landing, and the rotor of the helicopter hit a tree, and so it came down hard. It bounced down. He banged his head. Well, he's in a combat situation. He's got a Purple Heart. That's how he got it.
And let's not forget, they declared victory. The country declared victory in 1991 over Saddam Hussein invasion of Kuwait, which we know was kind of a
mission
setup.
accomplished.
And remember the turkey shoot as young Iraqi conscripts were going back home,
trying to
the Air
flee
Force came and slaughtered them, like
slaughtered.
shooting, what would they say, fish in a barrel.
Fish in a barrel, yeah.
And that was, and by the
Slaughtered
way,
and hit him with napalm too. And napalm has been against the rules of war since World War II.
Yeah, of course.
Against the rules.
Of course.
Yeah.
And
we had plenty of napalm in my
and
outfit.
yet over half the people involved in that, because we used depleted uranium and other weapons, have come down with Gulf War syndrome illnesses. Over half, I think, are getting permanent disability. So what did we win?
Absolutely nothing.
What did we win? Oil. The right
well,
to.
the right to it, I don't know.
But look, we want to commemorate. Is that the day? No, we want to mark the day of April 15th, and we have 2 charts we want to show here on this. Okay, there's the first one, and it says at the top, the president's proposed
discretionary spending,
right.
Fiscal year 2015. This
Yes.
is what we're going to spend.
And let's face it, our federal budget is a moral document, and according to this budget, what do Americans value?
Military, industrial, aggression.
Look at that.
Killing,
55%.
Boy, is it neat to have a gun that shoots 50 bullets a second. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, 55%, and that doesn't include veterans benefits, which is
Right.
another 6%.
6%.
And they only get that from the military. So that's 61% of your dollar bill.
Right.
And how much is going to educate people at Central High School in Manchester?
6%.
6%.
And look at the foreign, where is it? The international affairs, I guess it is. We're giving Israel, over 10 years, $30 billion, for example. Egypt, $1.3 billion a year. And other countries, still, Afghanistan, Pakistan, many. So that's the first one. And the second one is, here we go. Military and non-military. Discretionary spending means that the Congress and the executive branch have the ability to determine what to spend. I mean, you've got the mandatory spending on Social Security, on Medicare, Medicaid, et cetera, other benefits, in so-called entitlements. But look at this. In the blue line, that's the military. So estimated $640 billion versus the non-military, you've got $519 billion. What is wrong with our priorities, our values in this country, Richard?
Everything. Look at how with Reagan it jumps up. It's the military is unbelievably a jump. It goes and it stays up this entire time.
Right.
The lines almost meet during the Clinton's presidency, although the military is still more. And then Bush comes in, and actually Bush and Obama, and it goes right through the ceiling.
Well, look, let's face it. We're not meeting our human needs here at home. We need to spend more in education, more on affordable housing, more on repairing our infrastructure, installing and developing peace conversion into high-speed rail. I mean, there's so many things we could doing that are.
But all our money goes to the military.
That are
I
like-
don't remember what the 2009 Recovery Act was. That was where it spiked through the ceiling. What was that, the surge or something?
No, that was when the surge of money to bail out banks and General Motors and all of that. So look, we've got some photos. We were up in Bath, Maine this past weekend. We're going to show some photos. We were up there protesting this
I can't believe
ship.
that's a ship.
That's the ship. It's called the USS Zumwalt, who, Elmo Zumwalt, was a great guy, I understand.
Well, he wasn't.
Well, chief, naval of the Navy.
But he
Admiral.
ordered what? Agent Orange. To be
Yeah, he
dropped
did use
on.
Agent Orange in Vietnam, where his son was impacted.
So he's giving me diabetes.
Yeah, maybe so.
Thank
So
you.
that's costing us taxpayers $3.3 billion. 2 more have been ordered, like this. It doesn't even look like an old destroyer.
It's probably because it looks so different from what I think of as a ship.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's ominous to me.
And
for
it's
some
going to be,
reason.
yeah, it is ominous. They're going to build at least 2 more, probably more later. $10 billion for these 3 ships, probably cost overrun, maybe even more. All right, so here's some of the photos we took last week. Here I am showing a woman from Maine. Remember the famous book, Addicted
Oh, yeah,
to War,
I've got that.
Why the U.S. Can't Kick Militarism, and Smedley Butler, War's a Racket.
Right.
So we were there protesting right across the street from, it's called the Bath Iron Works,
Right.
BIW, similar to Portsmouth Naval Shipyard for the submarines.
Sure, yeah.
They're doing here's convert the war economy
To good jobs for a peaceful
future. Exactly. All right, next. And remember the Eisenhower quote?
Yeah, that's it. Every gun that is made, every warship that is launched, every missile fired is a theft from those who hunger.
Right. And what that sign for me now says, we are robbing our children's future because of the money spent on these gigantic weapons of mass destruction. By the way, that ship, when I was up there, I think there are a few more photos coming up here, I believe, I hope. Aren't there any more? Yeah, here. Okay, hold on that one. Convert the war machine. Okay, that ship is a weapon of mass destruction. Obviously, it's got these missiles and
No question.
this what they call rail gun, which I've got to research more about. But the money that should be used, as I said, is being spent here, and somebody had a sign. I'm not sure it's on here. Americans gave up their health care, education, veterans benefits for this. For what?
For a
and it
ship.
says $4 billion for this ship. Okay, and then I
For
think
what?
our tax money should be spent on education, good jobs, green energy, social services, not warfare. No more weapons. Use your talents for peace. If we used our talents, we can convert Portsmouth Naval Shipyard into, for example, wind turbines, making them, producing them, developing them,
idea.
creating them, put them out in the oceans along the coast to generate power,
Sure.
electricity.
Yeah.
Bath Iron Works for peaceful purposes. Maine, they have a plan up there to connect all of the cities in Maine with
Hydro?
rail,
Oh, rail.
trains.
Oh, good.
So we don't have to keep burning our
Yeah, the federal
our cars.
government won't do it, so the state's going to have to do it.
They should be doing it.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
this peace conversion is something that should be pursued.
That's a good idea.
And I know a friend of ours, Doug Bogan from Barrington.
Yeah.
We've met a few times. And there are companies that are developing these huge turbines to be used, not just the wind turbines you see on land, but in the ocean,
Yes, tides.
utilizing the tides, the ocean currents, and the winds.
Yeah.
And they would be connected in a grid. I mean, we have the ability, and yet we're fracking, we're doing the
Fracking,
XL
destroying our water.
Keystone pipeline, we're still emitting carbon into the atmosphere. By the way, that ship will also contribute. The Pentagon is probably the world's largest polluter.
Yes, of course. it is. No
And what
question.
we're doing to our atmosphere and our water.
That ship's not a nuclear ship, is it?
No. And by the way, but that ship probably will be stationed at Jeju Island off the coast of South Korea, which is the environmental, historic, whatever it is, agency deems that a pristine area with its marine life, its flora, its fauna, its formations. And we're building a naval base against the wishes of the people who live there,
Yeah, of course.
this pristine place to house that ship and others.
No kidding. No kidding.
It's part of the...
I wonder if that's where we also have all our military maneuvers. We're always threatening.
I'm not
North
sure it's
Korea.
right there at this point because they're still constructing it.
Yeah.
But a lot of civil disobedience is going on, including some priests, Catholic priests
Wow.
from South Korea.
That's good.
Vets for Peace have tried to get there. A couple have. There's a film we should show sometime, excerpts of, called Jeju Island. The guy, and we also have a video he took of the protest this weekend up in Bath. His name is Regis Tremblay. He won an award recently out in Chicago for Best Documentary in a Peace Film Festival or whatever it was. Jeju. And it's an atrocity about what our government is doing, the Pentagon, in tearing down this pristine area against the wishes of the people who live there. Of course, the South Korean government is getting money from us.
Well, look at what
Yeah.
our country does. I mean, we invade countries with. I mean, we just do it all the time. We've been doing it ever since World War II. That's what we are. We're an
Right.
aggressive nation. We take
Right.
over everybody and tell them what to
Right.
do.
By
That's
the
what
way,
no
a
one
couple of
likes.
years ago, remember we did a penny poll? Remember that penny poll? We took
Yeah,
jars and we
yeah.
labeled them in housing, environment, and
Yeah.
education and defense.
Yeah.
And we went through the 3 high schools, and all the high schools, including West, although a lot of the students over there who belong to the Junior
Arts.
Reserve Officer Training Corps, which is a misnomer,
Yeah.
all said that education should be, I think, the top priority. The environment, I think defense was about 4th or 5th. Okay,
It's too high.
the young kids get it. At least some of them do, who haven't been indoctrinated, in terms of what our needs are in the future. And for them, boy, I tell you, if I were 17, and 16, 15, the future, unless you change it, it doesn't have to be what it looks like. We can change it. We can alter it. But it's going to take more activism,
More shows than this.
more civil disobedience, more resistance. And by the way, for every $1 billion spent on the